Hello, today we're going to be discussing section 3.5, a review of factoring. In this video, we'll go over factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient of 1. Recall that anytime you factor a polynomial, your first step is to take out that GCF, that greatest common factor. In this video, we'll go over problems 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right, how do I factor trinomials? Remember that when you have two binomials, you can use FOIL to create a trinomial. In this process, we'll be going backwards. We're trying to undo that. So let's look at how we distributed in the first place. When I'm asked to multiply x plus 2 times x plus 3, I multiply the x through. So that gives me x times x squared, plus 3 times x, 3x. Then I distribute the 2, plus 2x. Then I distribute the 2 times 3, plus 6. Then you'll combine the like terms and have your trinomial, x squared plus 5x plus 6. Notice the 6 came from multiplying 2 times 3, and the 5 came from adding 3 plus 2. So how can I come up with a template to undo and go backwards? Well, I know I need two binomials. I know that the first term is multiplied, x times x gives me x squared. So anytime you start with some letter squared, you can break that down, x times x, or p times p, or z times z, whatever letter they give you in the trinomial. Then you want to focus on the last term. Remember when we talk about trinomials, the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, where b and c are coefficients or the constant, right? C is the constant. In this case, our c is 6. Remember to keep the sign, so positive 6 or negative 6. This case it's positive. The b is positive 5 and a is 1. In this video, we're only discussing factoring when a is 1. In future videos, we'll have to figure out what to do if a is not 1. But in this case, a is always 1, so we just split the x times x to get our first term of x squared. Then we consider the c term. Look at 6. Let's figure out the signs for our template. If 6 is positive, there's only two ways to get a positive when you multiply. You need both to be positive or both to be negative. Notice that the 6 is positive, so both signs will be the same. And the 5 is positive also, so both signs will be positive. If the 5 were negative, then both signs would be negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive. All right, now that we've figured out our signs, we've got to think about two numbers that multiply to give us the c value and add to give us the b value, because we know that's where it came from. We multiplied to get the c and we added to get b. All right, I can start by taking all the multiples of 6, so 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. For this case, there's not that many, but you might have a number that has a lot more in their list. So write them out if you need to. And notice 2 plus 3 will give me 5. Now 6 minus 1 would give me 5, but we have two signs that are positive, so stick with the 2 and the 3. These multiply to give me 6 and add to give me 5. Let's go back to the notes and see if we can use our template to factor problem number 8. X squared plus 6x plus 9. I know that I want to factor by forming two binomials and undoing that FOIL distribution. I know that the first term is x squared, so that's x times x. Then I start with the c value. What are the factors of 9? 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. I consider the sign. The 9 is positive. In order to multiply and get a positive, they need to both be the same. Are they both positive or both negative? That's when I look at my B term. Since B is positive, both are positive. Now I consider what group will combine to give me 6. I see that 3 plus 3 is 6, so I can use 3 and 3. How do I factor x squared plus 6x plus 9? I notice that a is 1. I notice there's nothing else to factor out the GCF, so I just form my template and find two numbers that multiply to give me 9 and add to give me 6. Let's try it again. Problem number 9. Factor out the GCF, nothing I can take out of each term. Second, count the number of terms. Since there are 3 terms, I know I'm factoring a trinomial, and it will factor into 2 binomials. A is 1, so I just need to split x squared into x times x. Then I ask myself, what are the factors of 8? I need something that multiplies to give me 8. So 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. I notice the sign is positive. How do I multiply to get a positive? By having the same sign. And what should the sign be? Negative, since the B is negative. So both signs are negative. And then I consider 8 and 1 or 2 and 4. Which one will combine to add together to give me 6? And the answer is 2 and 4. X minus 2, x minus 4. A negative 2 times a negative 4 gives me a positive 8. And negative 2 plus a negative 4 gives me a negative 6. Now, you can multiply to check if you want. So I have x plus 3 times x plus 3. When I distribute the x's, that's x squared plus 3x, and distribute the 3, that's plus 3x plus 9. Then combine like terms, x squared plus 6x plus 9. And voila. We can do the same for problem number 9. X minus 2 times x minus 4. When I distribute the x, I get x squared minus 4x, and I distribute the negative 2 to get negative 2x plus 8. I combine like terms, x squared minus 6x plus 8, and voila. All right, let's try problem number 10. Step 1, it says factor. The first thing you do is think about the GCF. Is there a common factor in all 3 terms? No. The next thing you do is count the number of terms. I have 3 terms, so I will be factoring a trinomial, and I know I need my template. My template will be 2 binomials, and I notice that A is 1. So I can just split the x squared into x times x. Then I consider the C value. What are the factors of 5? 1 and 5. I notice that the sign is positive. How do you multiply to get a positive? You have the same sign. So I look at the sign on B. It's a negative, so both signs will be negative. A negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative plus a negative is a whole pile of negatives. And now I only have one option here, so I plug it in and see if that holds true. Let's see. If I went through and distributed, I would get x squared minus 5x minus x plus 5. Once again, voila, combine like terms to get x squared minus 6x plus 5. So when you're asked to factor a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1, you just set up your template of the 2 binomials, find 2 numbers that multiply to give you the C value, and add to give you the B value, and you're set. These are the factors of those trinomials. Let's do one more. 3x squared plus 12x minus 36. Remember, when you're asked to factor, step one is always take out the GCF. And they remind us here, GCF first. What can I take out of all three terms? I can take out a 3. When I divide each term by 3, I'm left with x squared plus 4x minus 12. All right, now I notice that I have 3 terms. That means I'm factoring a trinomial by my template. And my template, don't forget the 3. He just stays out here in front. We don't have to worry about him. Then my template will break this down into 2 binomials. So x squared will just become x times x. Now, how do I get those 2 other numbers? Remember, I want to multiply to get a negative 12. So consider all the factors of 12. So 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. I notice my sign is negative. How do you multiply to get a negative? You multiply one of each. So a positive times a negative gives you a negative. Then consider the sign on B. Notice that it's positive. So the positive has to have the bigger number. What 2 numbers multiply to give you 12 and add to give you 4, where the bigger number is positive? You'll see that 2 times 6 is 12, and 6 minus 2 is 4. Then you have your factors. 3 times x plus 6 times x minus 2. There's another way to think about factoring these trinomials with a coefficient of 1 called the x method. So let's look at that. What if I were trying to factor x squared plus 5x plus 6? I could use the x method, where you put AC over B. AC would be 6, B would be 5, and you think about 2 numbers that multiply to give you 6 and add to give you 5. It's the same thing we've been doing, you're just writing it in a different format. So think about 6, that's 2 times 3, and that would add to give you 5. So you write 3 times 2, and then you use those to fill in your template. So x plus 3 and x plus 2. You can do the x method on any one of these. If I were to start out and say, hey, x method, AC is 9, B is 6, what multiplies to give me 9 and adds to give me 6? 3 times 3, and I'd plug that into my template. Same thing here. I start with AC, which is 8, B is negative 6, what multiplies to give you 8 and adds to give you negative 6? Negative 4 and negative 2. And same thing on number 10. AC is 5 and B is negative 6. How do I multiply to get 5? Negative 1 times negative 5 and add to give you negative 6. So I hope this is helpful when we go on to the next video where the leading coefficient is not 1. We can also use the x method to help us clean that up. We'll see you next time.